Right. Good morning. Good to see everybody. Even you. I'm just kidding. A lot of excitement, enthusiasm, momentum kind of coming off of last year and 7+ weeks of training with our players, building the team, and certainly that's an ongoing process. A lot to be excited about, and with new players, new coaches, and again, just a new opportunity for this year's football team, and to build, be better, learn from the past. This will be the next several months, obviously, foundationally, what our season's going to be all about. We challenge our players, look back on the last several weeks, the last couple of months, and the next several months here in front of us right now to decide what type of a season that we're going to have. And I want our guys to show up every day, incredibly intentional about fighting for the season that they desire. And that's what I've been able to see with again, it's a small sample size, a group of players that, again, really competitive. They care about the quality of their work. They care about building relationships, buying into our culture. Certainly that was sold in the recruiting process with the 40 new guys that are a part of this year's team. And but I don't ever take that for granted either, with the returning players. You got to start completely over from the ground up and build it, like everybody's new, because at the end of the day, they are with this year's football team. So that's really been the focus over the last, again, several weeks. We've been spending a couple of days a week with speed school and working on, becoming a faster football team at every position, be more explosive, our ability to accelerate and decelerate, in this modern day age of training and the sports science that goes, along with that. Really important that we're very conscious in how we train our guys, and decelerating is every bit as important as it's ever been. So we've made tremendous strides in the weight room with our guys. Just kind of combing through, our roster and from Coach Dobson and their staff. Just been doing all the testing here the end of last week, the beginning of this week, finishing up our 8th week of training to see where we're at. I think it's always good to be able to quantify the hard work through gains in the weight room. And several of the transfers made really good gains, but you really see it, with all the 17, 18-year-old freshmen, the gains that they've been able to make. Tremendous gains in our squat, our bench, our hang cleans, things of that nature, our speed, those types of things. We spent the other 2 days of the week doing all the mat drills, the stuff that really kind of challenges your manhood when it comes to the sport and being a football player, and the capacity that you can compete with. And I love that part of our out of season program, and it's been maybe the cleanest that it's ever been in the 4 years. This has been the less correction and the less motivating, and we're going to coach them hard and motivate them, inspire them, and hold them to incredibly high standards, but less guys bent over and needing a trash can and things of that nature, just this time of the year. And I've seen it a lot over the last several decades, and this has been a really clean out-of-season program. So I'm really excited about that, seeing our guys show up every day and compete at a really high level, tremendous capacity. The competition that we've been able to have several days a week as well. A lot of guys can find out a lot about themselves through that process, and then again, I think you develop a lot of confidence, leadership, accountability. You can't hide. You just can't blend in. When you get called to the middle of the ring, man, you got to show up and show your teammates what it's all about. That you understand from a competitive character standpoint what we're expecting, and you nurture that and you develop that. But that's been a lot of fun to watch that process as well. Really excited about the new coaches. I know I talked about them a few days ago, and I'm sure you'll have a few questions, and glad they had an opportunity to get in front of you but three fantastic coaches that we've been able to bring in to our football team, and the football knowledge, their ability to teach, their ability to motivate, their ability to inspire, their ability to develop toughness and relationships, recruiting acumen, being great teammates, on the third floor in the hallways. There's, as I said, I went into it with the mindset I'm not going to compromise in any space when it comes to the things that we're talking about, that I just spoke about, and really I feel like that we hit a home run in all those areas with each of the coaches that we brought in. So really excited about them. They all have their own way of doing things, but they got great juice and energy, and the players, and that was kind of my number one focus, is making sure I brought somebody that could be there for the players. They're going to help our players be better players, obviously better, just the X's and the O's, teaching them the game, not just teaching them what to do, but teaching them the game of football, being great teachers in that regard, being very detailed, being able to show the players have, a sense of credibility when it comes to the buy-in that they need to have in that meeting room and on the practice field every day, where the players knew without question that these are guys that are going to help make me better. And if I just buy in, put my head down, put the work in, be coachable, be willing to be strained and taken to places I can't take myself, then I'm going to become a better football player. And so I know that that's going to take place as well. I'm proud of our coaches. They've worked relentlessly the last, several months. Our entire staff are full-time, and our off-the-field coaches. We've been doing a lot of self-scout, looking at ourselves with the right lens. And, defensively, I think we were number one in the SEC in 17 categories, but I don't think any of our coaches or players that have been through the meetings, they see it like that. I think we've done a good job of showing them all the warts, the areas where we have to improve. Looked really hard at the three losses that we had during the season, and pulled the curtain back. And where did we lose it? Where could we be better? Is that them? Is that us? And just really, even when we had success, looking, okay, we got the sack against Bama in the playoff game, but man, we had a free hit on this ball, and they end up scoring on that drive that we didn't get the ball out. It was a 1st and 10 sack, and we end up giving up a 4th and 2, conversion for a touchdown. And so that's what our players have seen and what they've heard over the last several months on defense. And then offensively, we improved in 24 categories from where we were a year ago, and none of that's good enough. We understand that. I want to recognize the improvement that was made, as incremental as it was, but also understand where our standard is and where we need to get better. And so we've got a great focal point on the things that we need to do in those two phases, and certainly the kicking game, for all that was good. It was excellent through, a body of work through the season, and going into our final game being the top special teams efficiency unit in college football until we weren't. And the playoffs, we had, between penalties and just the turnovers that we had, and not kicking field goals great, and had bad punts at the wrong time. It was just a tough night for us on special teams. So a lot that was learned. We've kind of, again, as I told those guys in the special teams unit, which, again, every unit on our football team is a part of a special teams unit. And as I told those guys, you don't just it's not just a special teams play and you kind of have your own team over there. Everything you do bleeds over into every other part of our football team, complementary football, or vice versa, the field position game, which is, as big of a impact that the special teams units have, is just controlling the field position and flipping the field position and things of that nature. And so we had a tough night, but we've done a really good job through our team meetings and unit meetings of really finding, there's always a story behind all of it, and why that, has put us in a tough position, or how we can be better. And but offensively, obviously, and as a football team, we got to be much better in the turnover ratio. I think that kind of goes without saying. Indiana was close to plus 20. They won the national championship, and we were -3 on the season, so it kind of goes without saying. And we know that turning the ball over and being on the right side of the turnovers is the number one predictor of success and winning in football. But we got to have better game control as well, running the football, creating more explosive plays, being able to play with a little more rhythm. I don't mind punting. We need to be able to get more first downs. We were excellent when it comes to the red zone on offense, tops in the country. We just need to get down there a lot more. We're also 100 plus in the country in red zone opportunities. But when we got down there, we were terrific. So we got to find better ways in moments where we can be more cohesive and stay in rhythm offensively. We were really good getting up to about close to the 50, but from the 50 to that 30, man, that's some of our worst ball, offensively. And there's plenty of other areas that we got to improve, and we got a really good plan of attack on how we're going to make the improvement that we need to, as we've taken a really good hard look at ourselves. I say this a lot, but knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, and you got to see yourself for not in the statistical areas, although that can point to some potential areas of concern, but really, again, where are you weak, where are you vulnerable, where do you need to grow, where do you need to improve, what's the next thing, as you move your units, your positions, our program, how we move it, forward, we move it together is really important. So that's what we've been doing. Certainly there's a recruiting component. I know Jim was up here a little bit ago, and, I know that the coaches, in some ways, there's more efficiency to their day-to-day lifestyle, but I don't know that they're doing any less recruiting than they've ever done. And it takes everybody in the building to be successful. And, if I'm, happy with anything, it's, the cohesiveness that we've been able to work through over the last several months, and certainly coming off, our the mid-years with high school players coming in, and the portal players that we signed as well. That's the most recent, and then obviously moving forward, recruiting never stops. We're on to the 27 class as well, finishing our one and only junior day with great success as well. It takes everybody, the staff, the recruiting office staff, they do a really good job of, taking a 10,000-foot lens and making sure that we're not looking at bad players. In the past, our support staff are guys that went and did a lot of that work. Our coaches, they're incredibly invested every step of the way. So they're still going to look at mostly the same amount of guys, but most importantly, man, they've got to develop unbreakable, bonds, with the players that we're recruiting and the families and the trust. You got to build the trust, and you can't do that overnight. It takes a lot of, focus and a lot of work and a lot of time, and to build those trusting relationships. You got to create a vision for the future for the players. They want to know what's the plan from a development standpoint. That might be the number one decision maker for a recruit. Contrary to popular belief, every once in a blue moon it might be money, but it comes down to what's my opportunity and what's the plan for development, and then do I have a relationship that I really feel is the kind of relationship that I want to have if I'm going to choose this as my forever home. And so coaches, they've done a fantastic job, as well as Jim and their staff. It's been a lot of fun, building this, the right way. Molly showed up here as well. I know there was a press release in regards to Molly Jacobs, and she's done a fantastic job, and all of our support people. For the spring, got 106 players that'll be here for the spring. I'm going to give you just some nuggets, and some of this you might already have, but I bet a lot of it you don't. Returning defensive production. If I peeled it all back, what's coming back on defense? We got about 50% of our production that we had last year, and 50% of the tackles, 45% of the TFLs, 52% of the sacks. 80% of the interceptions, 60% of the PBUs, 50% of the quarterback hurries. And, I hadn't seen these until yesterday, but I knew we had a little more experience coming back on offense. And I think we have 7 starters coming back, if you counted David and Jaden as starters, although, I think David started the least amount out of those 4 DTs. But I'll count him as a starter. 7 on offense, 7 on defense, and we've got all 3 of our starters back in the kicking game with our punter and our kicker and the snapper. But returning offensive production, we got 90% of our rushing yards. We didn't have many rushing yards, but we had 90% of them coming back. 90% of our rushing touchdowns, 95% of our passing yards, just under 50% of our receiving yards, 50% of our receiving touchdowns. And then the special teams, 100% of all of our production and our special teams return game. Our returning players-wise, we have 66 guys returning from last year's football team, 20 on offense, 31 on D, and 7 in the special teams. And 250 career games started, 143 on offense and 107 on defense. Now, that's including transfers in the games that they started as well. And then, and again, 40 newcomers, 22 freshmen, 10 on offense, 11 on defense, 1 special teams, 18 transfers, 13 on offense, 5 on defense. And again, 144 career games started, 122 on O, 22 on D as far as the newcomers. Okay, thought that would be appropriate to kind of get through some of the wordiness of that. And again, on D, I'm gonna break it down another layer, and then I'll open it up for questions. So, defensively, we've got 40 starts coming back on our front, and a year ago, I think on defense, you know, what is some of the secret sauce to our success a year ago? And I said it going into last year. I really liked that. I thought our 2s were closer to our 1s. And this year there's going to be a bigger gap, and just on the surface. So we'll see what we can do, and that's what I've challenged the coaches, man. And I'm going to say the same thing at linebacker, and I'm going to say the same thing, you know, in the secondary. You know, we got a few more guys back in the secondary, but 33 starts at linebacker is it. And you know, that's with Cole Sullivan thrown in there. And then at DB, we got 56 starts coming back. On offense, we got quarterback 31 starts, running back 16 starts, receiver 67 starts, tight ends 47 starts, offensive line 104 starts. And obviously, again, you know, of our 7 starters on offense, you got 4 guys up front, and that's Heath Ozida, who has started 10 career games. He's not included. When I say 4, he can be he might be one of those starters too. But that's assuming, you know, that you got Jake and you got Ryan and you got Mike and you got Eddie, and then you got Heath in there as guys coming back, and then Amari and Harris, you know, from Arkansas is not included in what I'm talking about there. But and then so as you see, you look and compare apples to apples there. Got a little more experience coming back on offense, but the challenge for it's even on the offensive side. I mean, you take the bottom of both sides of the ball, and how quickly can we raise that floor? I think that's going to be ultimately what defines this football team, and I'm anxious to see that. You know, how fast can we bridge that gap? How quickly can we get these guys to play closer to a 1, even if they don't become ultimately a 1? How quickly can we get our 2s to play more like 1s? A lot of times the 1s just kind of take care of themselves, and I never take that for granted either. You know, but PJ's never started a game, and you know, he had to have off-season foot surgery from, you know, just last year, wear and tear, and I use him, and I'll talk probably next week more about injuries and things like that, but we've got several of them that are just off-season, you know, post-season surgeries, even some of the new guys coming in that we knew as we signed them that there's going to be a little nicks and knacks. This is the time of the year to get healthy, and so we're going to do that. But, you know, but PJ's played in 36 career games, but he's never started a college game. He's in a contract year. And I say contract years only in talking about guys this is their last year of college. And, yeah, it's contract year, no doubt for everybody. But when I talk about that, I'm talking solely about guys that are, you know, the NFL sitting in front of them next year, and potentially if they're good enough. And so that's my biggest, you know, area of on the football team. I worry about all of it, but I see, you know, that I got to have a little more. There's a little more uncertainty when it comes to really our front 7 in particular. You know, I really like the guys that are returning. They're the guys that we retained at every position on both sides of the ball. That kind of goes without saying, but you know, my concern is our secret sauce was the competitive depth that we had, and there's a lot to be proved. A lot of competition is going to take place, and we're just going to end up starting the season with a few more guys a little more green, but obviously we're going to feel good about them. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
You talked about your new coaches a little bit, but could you dive into the weeds a little bit more about Lamar? You obviously, your defensive staff is a lot of guys that you have previous experience with. What was it about Lamar that made you want to bring him here?
Yeah, I really like his background, where he's been, the coaches that he's been a part of, staffs that he's been a part of. I like his story. He's got a great story on how he's gotten to where he's at. He's had to do it at different levels of football. The guys that he's recruited, the guys he's developed, certainly play a part in all of it. The schemes that he's been a part of, that from an exposure standpoint, to be able to marry with our scheme, the things that he'll be able to bring to the table, and then being a coordinator was something that I thought he's going to give him a lens that's going to be a benefit to the players that he coaches. He's going to have an understanding of how the front end and the back end tie together. And the complexity, some of the decisions that we make, why we do that. I think there will be a less of a learning curve in that regard. And being a tenacious recruiter, being a great human, is a guy that he's got. There's just lots of other reasons that you get excited about, and this is down the list. But a guy that's had 3 degrees, got his master's of business, and I think that starts to kind of peel layers back that are important to me, that this is a guy that's not taking shortcuts. This is a guy that, has some substance to him. And then why would you be interested? Because he had lots of opportunities, turned down lots of college jobs, lots of NFL opportunities in the middle of this process. Certainly had some leverage, because he was still getting paid by Michigan to find the right job. But this was the job that he wanted, and for the right reasons. He and his wife are from Texas, and so getting a little closer to home. But that was down his list. I think most importantly, he wanted to be in this system and have an opportunity to be in that staff room with the coaches that we have, and then was low maintenance in the whole process. He was. We announced it, a couple of them at one time there, but he was ready to. The moment I offered him the job was after an exhaustive search. I spoke and interviewed over 10 different DB coaches from across the country, both in the NFL and in college. Certainly we looked even in-house and as well, because we've got capable people in-house. But those were the main reasons. With Lamar, he's been fantastic with our guys up to this point.
Yeah, Brent, from a retention standpoint, to be able to get Kip Lewis and Isaiah Satania, convince those guys to come back for another year, just how big is that?
Yeah, huge, obviously. Experienced players, play at elite level at times. And, Isaiah might have been my most favorite football player on our team. I'm going to make somebody mad, hurt somebody's feelings. Good. But I love Isaiah, his competitive spirit, the way he strains, his durability. He's a great practice player. He shows up every day with the right kind of mindset to compete, selfless in every way. His preparedness and readiness is elite, and it's great to have, again, his production, his experience, his leadership. And, again, I think he elevates everybody around him. Kip, again, I love watching Kip play on game day. Kip, his focus and his why to come back was, great wisdom. I'll let Kip tell his own story there, but his motives are pure, and one of the most disruptive, linebackers in all of college football that's invested in this program. Going on, I guess it'd be his 5 years here, and he wants to get better, wants to improve, wants to help us compete, and chase a national championship. And his wisdom and all of his experience is just going to be, great, and has been up to this point. For the rest of the football team, the defense, and certainly the linebacking group that he's a part of.
We just talked to Jason, and he kind of mentioned that.
How was he?
He was great. He was great. Yeah. He talked about how you and him aligned, and he knew immediately that he wanted to coach for you. What stood out about him, and just kind of how have you seen him take over that tight end room?
Well, obviously he had one of the best professional careers in the NFL, in the history of the NFL. who hangs around the NFL for 17 plus years. You don't do that by accident. You got to have something to you. You got to be talented. You have to have amazing durability, the training, the commitment, the sacrifice, the desire. You know, he wasn't chasing money. You know, he's chasing purpose. And then for people to want to keep him and to have the continuity, you know, with the Cowboys that he did. He speaks volumes for who he is in that locker room when nobody else is watching. So I knew there was a leadership value. I'd been around him several times prior to it ever getting to, hey, I need to offer you the tight ends job. And there was an alignment in what a coach should be about. You know, football saved his life. He is, you know, polished up. You see the polished up version, but man, behind the glory, there's always a story, and he's got a great one. And, you know, to how he was raised and what football did for him in his life, there's an alignment, you know, to feeling like football saved your life. And you wouldn't, you know, be in this position had it not been for the coaches that poured into him and helped him when he needed it the most. And so his lens he's got a great lens. It's a great lens because it's like my lens, right? But in reality, there's a lot of, you know, I get him, and I love what he's about. He's got a lot of substance to him. He's a fantastic leader as a head coach, you know. And I said this, you know, everything that he's done, he's put his hands to, man, he's been excellent at, you know. He's represented what an incredibly high, impeccable standards, what they look like, and how he's done it. You know, he hadn't used players to you know, create opportunity for himself. He's been a guy that's been fully immersed in every situation that he's been in. He's a loyal and devoted husband and father, and just a fantastic football coach. He's a great mentor and teacher, passionate, tough, all of those things are the things that, you know, I was attracted to. And then again, it was just one more thing. He said, you know, I'm all in. I'm coming to Norman. And I knew he had just turned down, you know, an NFL opportunity to go do the same thing. And but he wants to. I think he sees himself as somebody that can impact and influence the, you know, people that need it the most at their times of life and their journeys. And so that was really sealed it for me.
Coach, obviously big recruiting weekend last weekend, 10-win season. How do you feel about the trajectory of where you guys are going right now?
Yes, it's really good. I mean, in this space, I think it was around 30 guys that we brought in, and we had a great foundation that were already committed. The types of people, you know, we're not inviting people, you know, 4 or 5 days ahead of time, you know, to come. This is a group of people that we've been highly invested in them and us over the last several months, most of them, a few of them, you know, for well over a year. And so there's deep relationships with their families and the players. It's really important for us foundationally that we're bringing in the right people into our organization. And again, piggybacking off of the momentum that's been created through, you know, the last several months. And again, several of these guys having come to see us during the last season and last summer at camp, things of that nature, feel fantastic about the people that have decided to be Sooners and what that commitment looks like. You know, we're very thoughtful that way. We're not trying to trick anybody to come to Oklahoma. You know, guys that come to Oklahoma understand the challenge that's in front of them. They know what they're signing up for. And so my excitement, our shared excitement and enthusiasm for where we're at in recruiting right now is because we've laid it out very clearly. We've been over the top clear on the expectations, the standards, and how hard what they're getting ready to do. You come to Oklahoma, this will be one of the hardest things you've ever done in your life. Okay, it'll be worth it. Okay, but make no mistake. We're not going to cut any corners. You're going to go to class. You're going to turn your assignments in. You're going to be at your tutorials, and you're not playing. Okay, this is about graduation. This is about development. This is about opportunity. This is about winning. This is about the brotherhood. And when we make this decision, it's a forever decision. It's a generational decision, and I want there to be an alignment with that. The things happen down the road, yeah, we're not going to be immune to that. That's the modern age of college football. But my expectation is we'll have less because we've been thoughtful in that process. We've not tried to force a commitment. When a guy commits, he understands that's like what that means, and you're all in every way. And so that makes me, and I know I share this with everybody else in this space that loves Oklahoma, that makes me really excited. And where we're at and what's in front of us here too, going through the, spring ball, there'll be several 27s and even the 28s. We're fully already, down the road with several 28 prospects. That's just how you have to recruit, right? And not that you want to be first, you just want to be right. And I feel like in 27 in particular, we really feel like we're right, and we're on the right types of people that are scheme fit, that are locker room fit, and can help, again, take us from good to great. And as I told the players, that was last week, we talked about taking this program from really good to great. And it sounds like it looks like this in everything that we do, but it's the smallest step, but it's the hardest step. Okay, that's the rare air that we talk about, and it's not any one thing. It's not any one player. It's not any one coach. It's all of it, and it's the hardest step. And so really feel like the 27 class aligns with us, and for the immediate future, obviously they won't be a part of this season's team, but incredibly excited about the people that decided to be Sooners, and again, where this class has an opportunity to go in the future. And how it takes 2 or 3 years to really see. A lot of times you see the impact year one with how many guys contribute, and I think we have, over everywhere we've been, whether it's defense or this football team, what we've done the last 4 years, we've had several freshman All-American, and I think 2 of the last 3 years we've played the most freshmen and redshirt freshmen in all of college football. So the foundation has been good. We've recruited very well. Last year, the 25 class was our worst class. It was around 15, 16. The school I came from before, I don't think they ever got in the top 15, and we're one of the winningest programs in college football during that time. So finding the right people is important, as we know. We built off of momentum some other seasons. I think we had a couple of classes that are around 8, and we had a top 5 class, I think, after our 10-win season in 23 as well. So this has a chance to be an excellent class, continue that momentum. I think we've been very efficient in our identification and selection and recruiting process.
Can you talk a little bit about Bishop Thomas? He hasn't gotten a lot of talk. Kind of quietly came in, new defensive tackle for you guys, and just his overall, what he's done throughout this winter and spring, and what you all seen.
Yeah, so Bishop, if you all saw him earlier. You got it. Oh, no, was that later today? I got you. Okay. Yeah, he looks like he's about 40, and he looks like he's I won't even say it. So, but he's got an old soul to him. He's been at 3 schools. Was very guarded when it came to after we watched his tape. Wanted to find out how did we get to this point. Again, everybody deserves some grace. Oklahoma is a place of grace. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for some grace. So, tell me what I need to know. And he was just very open and honest and transparent. And again, this is, as we know, you're dealing with 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old guys. You're going to do some. You ever do any stupid stuff when you were that age? Yeah, we all did, right? And not that he did stupid stuff. I'll let he tell his own story. But just a lot of growing and maturing and figuring out what he wants. His back's against the wall. He knows that. He's been fantastic since he's been here. He's developed a lot of really good habits, and he's got great focus. He's a pleaser. He's the guy that when he knows you believe in him, he wants to do well. I think from a football standpoint, what I liked about him on tape is he stayed on his feet. He was a really physical tackler. He made a lot of extra effort plays. He knows how to use his hands very well. His block rec was excellent. He's not a real big guy, but he played big. He played strong. He knows how to torque his body and be able to hold his own. And so I'm excited. He's got a chance to be disruptive and hopefully he can give us some of the elements that Grayson Halton did. Will he? I don't know. We'll see. But he's got some of those traits with his quickness, his ability to stay on his feet. And he's a 285, 290-pound guy. He's gotten to the front of the line. He's pushed himself. I've really enjoyed watching him strain. He's worked harder than he's ever worked in his college career. That'll be part of his testimony.
I heard you say the other day that John's on a mission this offseason. Can you talk about kind of just what you've seen from him this offseason? I'm sure he was a guy that maybe came here thinking he might just be here 1 year, had kind of the hand injury up and down season. What have you maybe seen from John this offseason?
Well, I would say a lot of the same. John was a great leader a year ago, and he had great self-awareness a year ago. But I think now that he has a body of work in the SEC and at the University of Oklahoma, I think that's able to help him focus a little more, where maybe he had a different level of success at Washington State. He was healthy. He did a lot of the same things here and had at times his best football. As I said a week ago, his best football was as good as there is in college football. And how do I become a better overall player, more consistent, play within the offense, get everybody around him better? As we know, that's a part of it. Can't play quarterback by himself. And but great self-awareness, self-analysis. Certainly he's in the building every day with his coaches and very focused in that space. And I'll meet with him, frequently as well from a leadership standpoint. And again, try to give him a defensive lens with plays that we've made some different cut-ups for him, and just trying to, I think the more you know about the other side of the ball, like intimately, deeply, like it maybe better than your side of the ball, I think that you can just elevate your game to another level. And as you know, the best quarterbacks, they play with a level of anticipation, and he's been good, and we're trying to be great in that space, and that's his focus, is taking the good parts of his game and taking himself to a great place. And then all the while, man, he's the Pied Piper. He's a great leader. He's not as you guys know, he's not a rah-rah, but he's a passionate and an enthusiastic guy too. But he's never been an over-the-top, fake kind of guy. And you can't fabricate, just being genuine and authentic. And so he's very relational with the guys. He cares about, the freshman walk-on guy as much as he does, the new right tackle. And that's some of the qualities that John has that make him, very endearing to, everybody in the building. But more than anything, I think he's probably, how do I manage this heavy weight? Although I try to carry it all by myself, I don't necessarily need to. You have to carry some, and it's a lot. When you're the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, he recognizes that. But give yourself, some grace. Attack the things. Be honest with yourself too. Have the truthful conversations with yourself. He certainly has done that. Never been a problem for him. And as you know, and you cover, all sports, a lot of people don't want to take that responsibility. They don't want to take that accountability. They want to, be an excuse maker or a finger pointer and things like that. And that stunts your growth. John's the opposite of that. And sometimes he takes the blame when even it's not his responsibility. And so, we try to, the offensive staff, does a great job with it, but try to, give him that balance and perspective that he needs as well. And you don't have to, if you want to get a couple more, I'll be respectful of that as well. And then I'll see you all next week as well. Yep.
Hey, Brent, Smitty, Bob and you both talked about how important Smitty was in the offseason was to the program. You're moving him to the front office and you hired a new guy now. Talk about how that move, what that's done to the environment and how that's going with your football team.
Yeah, I think our guys are incredibly invested in our strength and conditioning program. We've got a great staff down there. Jerry's done a great job of mentoring and coaching several of those guys, and we've got really talented people in that space. We brought in some really talented people as well, so I think that'll continue to move in the right direction without question, or I wouldn't have made that move and hired the right people and things of that nature. But Jerry, he's been a lone wolf for a long time. Has stood on his own 2 feet. as somebody that's impacted and influenced young people, taken into places that they can't take themselves. He's been at the top of the food chain, the best of the best, for a long time. He's a Hall of Famer in every way. And if he does something that's, uniquely Schmitty, is just the mindset and the thermostat that he sets at this incredibly high, non-negotiable space. And he's elevated young people and football teams for a long time, decades. And I think he was the only head strength coach that was a head strength coach at 3 different schools that's won a national championship at all 3 places, and all the championships that he's been an intimate part of. Can't say enough about him. And, for me, I know of that impact. I've watched it. I align with that for a long time now. And so I wanted to find out what's next. And there's an expiration date for everyone in every space, but he still has so much to continue to give. And so I'm not going to go on all the details, but he's got an office on the 3rd floor. It's always full of players and coaches. He's a liaison for me in every space, but obviously in our sports performance teams, and helping me with practice regiments and things of that nature, calendar, mindset. When the guys come in the building, what that needs to look like, and just continue to enhance that. Mentor, that's not going to change as long as he's in the building, man. He's going to have great impact with our players, making sure they got the right mindset. Okay, all right, appreciate it. See you all next week.